Hello and welcome to another video by the Bearded Tech Guy. This video is another installment in my Getting to Know webCoRE series, with this video covering advanced light control involving a combination of time of day and motion sensors. Check out the link in the description for the complete series. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and click the little bell to be notified when I release additional videos for the series. This piston idea comes from JR, who asked for an example piston of having a light turn on at dusk and keeping it on until 11 p.m., at which point the piston will turn on the light for 15 minutes when motion is detected between 11 p.m. and dawn. During the 15-minute timer, if motion is detected again, the timer should be reset to 15 minutes. So thanks for the request, JR, and make sure to let me know in the comments below if there's any other piston examples you'd like to see as well. This piston builds on a previous video I did on light control based on time of day, with the addition of a new condition, motion detection. Check out the description below for that video if you are interested in specifics around setting that up. And don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoy this video, as it helps out the channel immensely. To begin, create a new piston by clicking on the menu at the top right hand corner and click on New Piston. On the new screen, click on Create a Blank Piston. From here, name your piston and click on Create. Now that we are in the piston editor, let's start with our more easy rules, which will be turning the light on at dusk and turning the light off at 11 p.m. So first, under Execute, click on Add a New Statement. This will open a new window where we will click on Add an If. Under the next section, click on Add a New Condition. Within the New Condition window, we are going to expand the What to Compare section and select Virtual Device and Time. For the type of comparison, we will select Happens Daily At, and we will then change value to variable. Doing this will allow us to select sunset. Now you can apply an offset to have this trigger before or after the sunset time. Once your time is set the way you'd like, scroll down and click on Add. Doing so will bring us to the piston editor. From here, under Then, click on Add a New Statement. This is where we will trigger turning the light on. This time, from the window that opens up, we will select Add an Action. From here, click on the drop-down menu and select the light or lights you want to trigger at dusk. For me, I'm just going to do my porch light switch, which controls several lights. Once selected, click on Add a Task. This will be where we set the action we want to take. For this if statement, we will be turning the light on. So expand the drop box and select Turn On. Once done, click on Add. We now have our first if statement in this piston, and that is to turn the light on every day at the time of the local sunset for that day. Now let's move on to the second if statement, and that will be to turn the light off at 11 p.m. every day. To do this, scroll down in the piston editor and click on Add a New Statement underneath the first if statement. For this if statement, we are going to do the same thing as the first if statement, but instead of changing the compare value to variable, we will set it to 11 p.m. And for the light switch, instead of toggling on, we will toggle it off. Outside of those two things, the steps will be exactly the same as the first if statement. Now that we have the easy stuff out of the way, let's move on to the fun part, controlling the light switch based on motion. For me, I do not have an outdoor motion sensor, so I'm using an inside one simply for testing out and demonstrating the piston. I will include a few links below on a couple examples of outdoor motion sensors, but keep in mind I have not personally tried them, so I can't speak to their quality. You could also do something different, such as if you have security cameras that can be tied into SmartThings and share motion state that way. Let's create the first if statement, which will be to turn the light on based on motion, but only during a specific time frame. To accomplish this, create a new if statement under the previous two. Under adding a new condition, select the motion sensor or sensors you want to use and select the motion state. Then, under comparison, select changes to and make sure that the value is set to active. Then click Add. This will bring us back to the piston editor. Next, we are going to add another condition right under the one we just made. For this condition, select Virtual Device and then select Time. For comparison, we will be selecting Is Between, and I will be setting it for between 11 p.m. and sunrise. You can adjust these values as needed for your own piston. Once your settings are set, click on Add. With the way things are set up now for this if statement, if motion is detected between 11 p.m. and sunrise local time, it will trigger. So let's set the then statement for this one to turn on the light switch. This will be accomplished the same way as the first if statement in this piston. Next, we will create an if statement to turn off the light after 15 minutes of inactivity is observed by the motion sensor. To do this, create a new if statement with a condition for the motion sensor with a status of motion and a comparison of stays. Make sure the value under compare to is set to inactive and set the time you want under in the last. For this piston, I'm going to set it to 15 minutes and then click add. We will then add a second condition under the one we just created, just like in the previous if statement, for a virtual device of time between 11 p.m. and sunrise with an offset. The offset will make it so that if the motion sensor is triggered right before sunrise, the light will not stay on the whole day. There are a few different ways to handle it, but this is a quick way of dealing with it without adding additional complexity. After your time is set, click on Add. Finally, we are going to add the last action under the then statement, and that is to turn the light off. And that's it. We have made a piston with multiple if statements that uses more complex logic to control a light switch. Let's now save our piston by clicking on the hamburger menu on the top right hand corner and clicking Save. Now that it's saved, let's go ahead and test everything out. At the local time for dusk, the light turns on as expected. And at 11 p.m. the light turns off as well. So far, the first half of our piston is working as expected. So let's see how the second half does. Great! So walking in front of the motion detector triggers the light. Now in 15 minutes the light should turn off as long as there is no other motion. While we wait, I would like to note that the way this piston is set up, you could run into a few weird conditions. For example, if the light switch is turned off between dusk and 11 p.m., the light will stay off. Another example is if you have motion right before 11 p.m., the light will still turn off at 11 p.m. unless motion is detected. In addition, if the light is manually turned on between 11 p.m. and sunrise, the light will stay on until sunrise if no motion is detected. For me, this isn't an issue with my lights, but if you think you may run into issues, let me know and we can see what your options are to have logic around them. Now that 15 minutes has almost passed without motion, let's see if the light works. Cool, so the piston works as expected, which is great. I do want to try one last thing, and that involves walking in front of the motion sensor a second time while the inactivity timer is counting down. As we can see, walking in front of the motion sensor resets the 15-minute timer, which is expected behavior. That's it for this video. Don't forget to check out other videos in the Getting to Know webCoRE series, and let me know if there are any other example pistons you would like to see covered. Thanks again to JR for the request. Thank you for watching.